All right, welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're going to talk about making that leap. The one from just clicking buttons inside the AWS console to real, honest-to-goodness automation. This is all about moving past the starting line to see how things are really done when you're working at scale. Look, if you're just getting started, the AWS console is a fantastic place to learn. It's visual. You can click around and see what's what. But what happens when you're a DevOps engineer and you're responsible for hundreds of servers? Clicking just isn't going to cut it. That's when automation becomes absolutely essential for working like a pro.
So the whole point of this session isn't to brag about some fancy tool. It's about a fundamental shift in your mindset. Learning how to interact with AWS without ever touching the user interface the way professionals do it every single day. Okay, let's dive in.
First up, let's really unpack the core difference between that manual, click-heavy approach and the automated, professional way of managing all your AWS stuff.
And that journey starts with the most basic task of all, how to securely get into a virtual machine, or what AWS of course calls an EC2 instance.
At the end of the day, what is an EC2 instance? It's just a Linux computer running somewhere in an Amazon data center. And if you want to set it up or deploy your app or do any actual work on it, you've got to connect to it first.
And to make that connection happen, you need two critical things. First, you need the server's public IP address so you know where to go. And second, you need your private key, that little file ending in .pem. This thing is your non-negotiable proof of identity.
Now, sure, you can connect through the AWS console, and for a quick peek, hey, it's fine. But that is not how real work gets done. It's temporary, it's clunky, and it's just not scalable. The industry standard, the professional choice, is to connect directly from your own computer's terminal using SSH. It's stable, it's friendly to automation, and it's the foundation for literally everything else we're about to do. And I really want to drive this point home. This isn't about style points or personal preference. It's all about building workflows that are efficient, stable, and, most importantly, can be automated down the road. Okay, so how do we actually do it? Well, connecting with SSH uses a specific command. But what's really interesting is the error you're almost guaranteed to get the first time, because it teaches you a core security lesson that trips up just about everyone.
The command itself looks pretty straightforward, right? We're using SSH, that's the protocol. We're using the -i flag to specify our identity file, that's our private key, and then we're saying we want to log in as the user Ubuntu at our server's public IP address. Simple enough.
But you run this with a brand new key, and boom, you're greeted with this exact error. Permissions are too open. So what is going on here? Did you do something wrong? No, this isn't a bug, this is a security feature. Think about that PIM file. It's your secret. It's literally the key to your digital house. And this error message, that's your own computer's operating system acting like a security guard. It's stopping you and saying, whoa, hang on, this secret key is way too exposed. Other people on this machine could read it, and that's a huge security no-no. And the fix is a simple but incredibly important command. chmod 600, and then the name of your key file. All this does is change the file's permissions so that only you, the owner, can read it, nobody else. And this is just a brilliant moment because it teaches you something huge. By understanding this error, you're not just learning a command, you are learning the fundamental security logic of the Linux operating system itself. This is what it means to start thinking like an engineer. Okay, awesome. We have totally nailed connecting to a single machine like a pro. That's step one. Now, let's zoom all the way out and look at the bigger picture, the different layers of automation you'll use across the entire AWS world.
You know, clicking around in the UI is perfectly fine when you're managing one, maybe two servers. But in a real DevOps job, you're responsible for hundreds. And at that scale, doing things manually isn't just slow, it's a guaranteed recipe for costly mistakes and outright failure.
Professionals work with AWS through a stack of automation layers, and you pick the right layer for the job. At the very bottom, the foundation of everything, is the AWS API. Think of it as the engine. The next layer up is the AWS CLI, which lets us run commands right from our terminal for fast, scriptable tasks. Then we have SDKs, like Boto3 for Python, which lets you automate really complex logic right inside your code. And at the very top, we have infrastructure as code, using tools that let you define your entire system in a simple text file, a blueprint that AWS builds for you. It is the ultimate form of automation.
Okay, I know that's a lot. For now, let's just focus on that second layer.
We're going to get you set up and run your very first command with the AWS command line interface, or as everybody just calls it, the CLI.
So before the CLI tool on your laptop can start talking to your AWS account up in the cloud, it needs permission. But this isn't your normal login. This is for programs talking to programs, so it needs what we call programmatic access. And that's handled with a special pair of credentials, an access key and a secret key. And I really need you to hear this. I cannot stress it enough. You must treat these keys with the highest level of security. If someone gets their hands on these keys, they effectively own your entire AWS account. Protect them like you would your bank password. Thankfully, setting it up is a really simple one-time thing. You just run the command AWS configure. It'll ask you for your access key, your secret key, and a default region to work in. Once you pop those in, you can test it with a simple command like AWS S3ls to list your storage buckets. If you see a list of your buckets, you're in. It worked.
And just like that, you have successfully talked to AWS entirely from your terminal. No web browser required. This right here, this is the foundation of the automation mindset.
As you go down this path, you have to start thinking like a responsible engineer. Clean up after yourself. Stop or terminate instances you're not using to save money. Always secure your key files, and if an access key isn't being used anymore, delete it immediately. Security and cost are not afterthoughts. They are central to this job.
So you see, the real win today isn't about memorizing a bunch of commands. It's about a fundamental shift in how you think about and interact with the cloud. You're now armed with the right mindset and the core skills for true, scalable automation. We've built the foundation. Now, in our next explainer, we're going to use it to build and manage infrastructure the right way.